Tell us.
Somebody? Anybody?
Anybody?
You guys have us out there? I can see it here on the gauge. We're good.
Okay.
But the holidays come, man, and it's craziness. It's craziness around the house, and then trying to work in, all your deadlines and everything else. It's mad. So
Oh, totally.
to make it through it where everybody lives is plenty. Anything beyond that is an absolute bonus.
I saw you took your Christmas tree down, huh?
I did. How cool was that, right? That's
Ours is coming down tonight, but we're not going to torch it like you did.
Dude, that's become our final Christmas tradition every year is we give the Christmas tree one last salute.
Nice.
Nothing says it's over like that shit's on fire.
And people wonder why there's forest fires.
Yeah, listen. Can you imagine having a Christmas tree catch fire in your house like that?
Dude, it's going down.
Right?
What are you going to do? You're going to run for the hills, right?
Yep. Yeah, because the whole house is definitely going up. So we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight. Not to forget about our main guest of the evening will be Rick Fairless from Strokers Dallas. Rick is a longtime friend of the magazine. I always love when I get a chance to talk with him. And I don't know if I ever told you this, Ken, but one of my first genuinely real big person interviews when I was coming up from Cycle Source, from our humble beginnings was Rick. And I'll never forget in his article he wrote about the first time you knew you were going to be cool because of motorcycles. And he said when you could do a cross-up wheelie and throw the peace sign, that was it, man. Like, you were cool, and so were motorcycles, and you were going to do it forever.
That's funny.
But I'll never forget that.
That's cool.
So he's going to be on. We got a lot of news. We're getting back to our regular shtick that we do here and put the holidays safely behind us.
Nice. It's all ahead full. When's the I guess I should have asked Heather this earlier, but when is the deadline for the next issue?
Submission deadline, or when do I go to print?
Submission deadline.
I need everything in by Saturday.
Oh, come on.
That's
Seriously.
lots of time. That's lots of time.
Oh, come on. No, I'll figure
That's
something
plenty
out.
of time.
I've only got one thing I'm giving you guys. So, whoa, look at what just happened to my hair.
You went all Phantom of the Opera for a second.
So, I don't typically do this, but I'd like to start out the show with a PSA.
Okay.
Okay. So, a bazillion of you have bitchin' bikes that we love to see. We want your submissions for features. We are always looking for something cool. But a word of advice. Do not send your submission in with an insult to the publication you're trying to get it in. Because that pretty much automatically disqualifies you. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't care if you build the most amazing bike in the world. If you insult the publication you're trying to send your bike to, they're never gonna feature you.
So
I'm not saying kiss my ass. I'm not saying kiss Chris's ass. Just don't insult us.
Kiss your own ass. Happy Hanukkah.
Just a PSA from Cycle Source Magazine for 2019.
There you go.
The thing that she's specifically talking about, I heard her head explode earlier today. She turned around, she goes, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, oh boy, what's going on? And this guy sends in a thing and he says, "Hey, here's a bike that I built. Would you think about running it rather than the 5 builders that you normally run in your magazine?" And I'm like, okay, if there's any publication out there, we consistently put unnamed builders on our cover, and we do stuff from all across the country, so it was unfounded, but still, it completely pissed her off and was funny as hell.
And I do have to say, I responded very kindly, and I said, "I'm so sorry. You must have us confused with another publication. We featured 71 motorcycles last year from 69 different builders. I wish you the best of luck with your build. Have a phenomenal day." And
okay, let's talk. Let's talk.
Go ahead.
Tell me about real talk. What did the bike look like? Was it a Christmas tree?
Go ahead and tell them. No.
You know what? It wasn't horrible. And he he is very proud of what he builds, and kudos to him for that. Absolutely kudos from that. It's just
Yeah.
not what we're looking for right now.
But you know what?
But wait a minute. He
It
proceeded
may
to
have been.
respond to my very kind email with, I build way doper shit than this. And he put a picture of a feature we
Disqualified.
ran. So you know what? Again, you may build the most incredible bike in the world, but I will never, ever
But it doesn't
put one
sound
of your
like he does.
bikes
It sounds
in our
like you're
magazine.
being nice, and it sounds like he builds.
But even if he had, sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to institute the first policy of the new year. 2019 is going to be the year of don't be a dick.
Really?
Going to be hard for a lot of us.
I don't know. This broadcast might
It's gonna
negate
just
it right away.
Automatically
So everybody that
disqualify you.
doesn't, Heather's probably privy to it, but for everybody that doesn't know, Chris and I are brothers, and sometimes we fight like brothers. We got to do that today, didn't we?
Oh yeah. Yeah, listen, hey, that's the beauty of this thing though. We remind each other that all the time. This show started with conversations that Ken and I have, and you can imagine we come from two different parts of the country, we come from two different backgrounds, we have two different ideologies about a lot of things. We do not always agree. And that plays out sometimes on this show, sometimes off air before we come on to the show, but I think that's important. You know, we were talking about this earlier after our little blowout is the fact that, like, you know, we have to get back to a point. You know, you can consider this. Consider the fact that we live in a time where communication is an absolute given. There's communication going on everywhere, and we have never been as bad at talking to each other.
Agreed.
And,
yeah,
you know,
I mean, it's like you're just like looking at your phone. You're like, oh, look at that. You know, you're not communicating.
Real communication.
We instituted
skills.
a no phones at the dinner table
Yeah.
situation. You know, you look at, I mean, go to a restaurant and you look at people. They're out to dinner and they're sitting there just staring at their phones. Come on, be present.
So the thing that Ken is talking about specifically tonight, we're going to get into. We did a new thing in the magazine, and unfortunately, I didn't. Something happened in the edit when we did final edits. It didn't have the disclaimer at the beginning of the article. We started a new column that we're going to run from time to time, and it's called One Man's Opinion. And what we're doing is asking people from the industry, from the culture, to write their thoughts down and come up with an editorial column. Whether we agree with it or not, it's not necessarily our opinions, but our intention is to publish a piece from the everyday guy out there, bring it onto the air here, and then have a discussion where we can maybe institute some of the conversation that we're talking about. Because there's a lot of people out there today who have quick opinions, who might not have all the facts. There's a lot of people who have the facts and never bothered to deliver them to the rest of them. We're hoping to bring these two groups of people together and have good, solid conversation and make that part of our culture and our world again.
Agreed. Yep. And that's the reality of this, and that is the reality of life, is that a lot of things can be avoided by clear communication.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that is the, you know, you and I have both found that to be true in lots of different relationships in our lives, including our own.
And I love you too, Ken.
So are you going to actually read the article?
No, I'm not going to read the article because it's just starting to come out in the magazine. And I thought that, you know, maybe what we'll do is after we have this conversation, we'll actually publish this on the blog and it'll go out to social media, and we'll hook this show to it so that there's a link to this show and the follow-up discussion and everything. But tell us, we're really, really interested. You know, I know people say this shit like this to you guys all the time, but tell us what you think of it for real, because we're really trying to start something new here. I mean, if you consider media as a whole and motorcycle media, that we've gotten to a place where people are afraid to say shit. They're afraid to talk, you know, and the whole world has become bourgeois, man. And like, we can't do that, especially when we're looking for answers and we're looking for definitions and direction. Like there has to be communication.
Agreed. Yeah, we agree on a lot of things as well. It would suck if we didn't. I mean, that would be a whole nother kind of show, I think, if we just totally didn't agree with anything.
So in addition to all the wonderful features that we have here, we have sitting to my immediate right, the lovely Heather, who is monitoring all the social media for us, and she's going to let us know when you guys have something for us to talk about.
Yeah, what is going on Facebook already? I'm seeing like all sorts of interesting things. Something about Santa's Peckerhead Award.
Oh, yeah. One guy said the gentleman that made the submission and insult gets the I screwed the pooch award.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, good stuff.
Russ Bauer digs the idea of the one man's opinion. And that goes, you guys can submit those. If you have something that you want to submit your opinion on, send them to me. Doesn't mean we'll necessarily publish it, but we definitely love to hear what you have to say. And we want things that will inspire conversation.
Even a fleshed out outline would be.
Yeah, for sure. Send it in. CycleSourceMaine@Comcast.net. We'll love to take a look.
So new to the show, starting last week also, while we do have Heather here with us, we have this neat little app that puts up your messages. So while we're going through the show from time to time, I'm going to flip over to the screen and share some of the stuff that you guys are saying, because some of the best conversation goes on the different social media sites, and you can't even see. It's a riot. It's a riot. The shit that you guys say to each other is a trip.
I just downloaded Twitch.
Did you?
My son was like, "Really? You downloaded Twitch?"
Nice. I know. My
Because you know what he does all day? He sits on his iPad and watches other people play video games.
I know, dude. I know.
And I just want to go, what is wrong with you? And then I just remember my parents doing that to me when I'm out like skateboarding for 50 hours, to learn some stupid trick, So, yeah, I'm just letting him do his thing. He doesn't do it all day long. They built puppets today. That's what my kids did. They made puppets.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It was pretty fun to watch.
You have one of the most interesting families in the world, I swear to God. Like,
I don't know about that.
Oh no, dude! You guys going out to over the holiday break? You stayed in a yurt. You took your family and stayed in a yurt. You deserve like Father of the Year award for shit like that.
The only thing I deserve Father of the Year award is getting up every hour to put fucking wood in that wood stove. That's the only thing I deserve Father of the Year award for. My wife organized all that stuff. Without her, we'd be eating, hot dogs and baked beans and sitting on a 50-gallon drum, I'm pretty sure.
Right on.
I was going to ask you something, and now I don't remember what it was. Oh, well. We should get into a little bit of the news, because I think it's apropos before we get to Rick that we talk about a little bit of that. I'm not sure when he's coming on, but I think it'd be interesting to kind of run through some of these numbers.
Yes, sir. So this is part of the real shit that we do. Let's get to the news. First up in the news this week, Harley Davidson. Once again, we have people from around the world ready to pack on the Milwaukee-based motor company for the condition of their sales. This report comes from Barron's. Harley Davidson motorcycle sales are going through the
Who don't know shit about motorcycles, by the way.
Right.
Just disclaimer. They don't know shit about motorcycles. They know a lot about business and numbers.
And I'm telling you, just from the front page, they don't know a whole lot about footwear, because those are some ugly-ass boots.
That's specifically for you. I've got some sweet boots up on mine when I'm looking at it. I've got some cool... Wait a minute, Chris. Is there something you need to tell me?
What?
I don't know. I think that those might be the boots that you're wearing right now or something.
Mine are full length. I don't know. These look like bootlets.
Oh, man. They have zippers up the back.
So, I mean, look, sales of Harley-Davidson motorcycles this year are falling even faster than expected, according to a survey of the company's dealers by UBS analysts. Retail sales of the bikes in 2018 could be down by double-digit percentage, reported the analysts Robin Farley and Arpine. Who gives a shit? Yeah. Tell me what this really means. Tell me what this really means.
They're talking about the stock price there. So they're talking about retail sales, but they're also talking about the stock price. It's at like $33 today. high, just a few years ago was more than double that. And I think, there is concern. Or you look at it as an opportunity. I heard Heather earlier. She's like, oh, it's only $33. Yeah, I would go buy some. That is, I'm not a financial analyst. Do not take my word for fucking anything. I don't know shit. Okay. But yeah, when it's down, that seems like a good time to buy. But let's look at the real numbers. So we don't have the 2018 numbers. All we've got is the 2017 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go back as far as 2014, they did 270 million units. Did you hear that? 270 million units.
Mm-hmm.
This year, 241. So a sharp decline. When we're talking, $5.5 billion down to $4.8 billion. And that's motorcycle sales specifically.
Yeah.
But when you look at Harley compared to Indian, year end of 2015 was $418 million dollars. They don't give you units really.
Mm-hmm.
And year end for 2017 was 577 million. Right? So they're growing. There was a big jump in the middle there because in 2016 because the Slingshot came out. Mm-hmm. And they're putting the Slingshot in there. They're Victory and Indian for those years that they had Victory and Indian. And they're also writing off or writing down Victory on that. But it's an interesting, when you start looking at those numbers, and maybe we'll try to post those later, and maybe it would be a good thing to have a discussion about at some point when everybody can kind of look at those numbers. But if you look at the percentage of what Indian is selling compared to Harley, it's less than 10%.
Yeah.
It's a very, very small piece. So for them to sell, 1% more is huge. It's not that many units, but it's a huge bump. You know what I mean?
And I'm watching some of the comments here, and Don Bashline come in and said, sold Harley stock years ago. Now, here's a man, I respect Don's opinion on stocks because Don bought Apple stock back when I think it was still called Macintosh. You know what I mean? So, seriously, and I bet you he's still holding on to that shit. But, Don, let us know, sold Harley stock years ago, why? What was your indicator then? And I mean, what makes you buy a Harley stock today? Is it more for the nostalgia? Is it for the patriotism of it? Are people buying this purely for the investment? What motivates a Harley stock buyer? Like Heather said, we'll buy it low just for the opportunity to have something hanging on the wall here that says we own part of the company. Because that's cool, I still have my illegitimate Easy Riders plaque hanging on the wall from when I had a stock in it.
Nice. So back to this. So when you look at the actual sales, you're looking at, and I'm just using ballpark numbers here. Indian's probably selling 40,000 bikes a year.
Yeah, that's what Jamie Roberts just asked. How many units did Indian sell?
Yeah, that's using, 15 grand a pop, average, because some of them are 28 and some of them are 9. And that's what Harley's comes out to. It comes out to about 15 something, in terms of.
Here's the big question that I have, and I've talked to you about this off the air, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Indian sales reporting, if you consider in the last 2 years, Indian's had rapid accelerated growth. Right? They're adding dealerships, they're converting dealerships from Victory. There's a lot of question about how many, and maybe somebody can answer this, maybe I'm not seeing it right and give me a new perspective, but how many of those bikes that Indian, the corporation, is reporting as sold are still sitting in dealerships as floored motorcycles, which same thing as Harley.
I mean, who knows what their sell-through is, and who knows how much floor planning is going on. Who knows, that stuff is, who knows? That's a whole nother.
But we'll
never know, Chris.
We will know in the next year, I bet. You know, because, well, I would bet if Indians dealers are experiencing soft sell-through, no matter how great the press releases that the company's sending out are, you're going to start to see it. You're going to start hearing from the middleman in the market, which is the dealer principal.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I think if you go to, you know, I had the opportunity to go to a European bike dealer a few weeks ago, and I was surprised to see they still had like 2016 models, 2015 models of Ducatis, BMWs, you know, Triumphs. I'm like, wow, how's that even possible?
Yeah.
You know, and of course I was like, well, I should pick one of these up. They're cheap.
Well, we're getting close to time to call our first guest of the evening, but I want to take a minute here and brief you guys on this. So this whole thing starts with an article, a new column we started in a magazine called One Man's Opinion, and we're going to ask somebody to come out, you know, do an editorial and then bring it on here for discussion. The one that's in question this evening started off with a friend of ours, Pat Jansen, friend of the program, and Pat wrote a spirited editorial titled One Man's Opinion: In a World of Indians, Strive to Be a Victory. And in this, there's many, many things that he goes on to say about the cultural differences of the generations. And, you know, really, more than anything else, I think it expresses underlying, what would you say, irritation, aggravation from longtime Victory supporters over Polaris's decision to discontinue the company and run with Indian.
Yes, I would say that is the overall message of that.
So in there, he quotes a bunch of things that we want to talk about, and we figured what would be better than to bring somebody on that was at ground zero, because I don't know if any of you remember, the morning that Polaris announced that they were discontinuing the Victory line, Rick Fairless went online and had a personal heart-to-heart video that he sent out to everyone expressing how he felt about it and, you know, what it meant to him. I was really touched by this, and I thought this was just a good opportunity to talk about that, to talk about Pat's article, you know, and get into it and get into the conversation. But what we're counting on is that you get involved with this too. So we want to hear from you guys. Like I said, we have the, you know, the whole chat app thing going on. So while we're talking, we're going to bring you guys into this too, and we're going to see if we can get our first.
And please
call.
go share it with your friends. I almost said your idiot friends. With your friends,
Wow.
so they can get in on it as well. Because I think that's important, that we get this out there, right? And that it's not just the people that already watch this program, but it's
Right.
people that we haven't watched it before. So
Yep.
we have, and to that end, we do have, you know, Hot Leathers kind of came on board. They're going to be broadcasting this for us on Facebook.
Sorry. I was just putting the sponsor logo up for
He's
you,
a
and I
little
blew
click
it.
happy.
I blew
Ow.
it.
It's a little loud. Anyways, they are, yeah, it's great to have them on board. They have been longtime supporters of Cycle Source Magazine, longtime supporters of myself, Chris, etc. There might be some new merchandise coming out for Cycle Source sometime
That's
soon.
what's up.
So yeah, we're really appreciate their support. So go do the same, please. Our audience, go share that. And we've got some great. It's already like 28 shares or something. Let's get up to 50.
Yep.
We're at 36.
Oh, that'll be easy. Let's get to 100.
Let's get to the first interview.
Hey, pal.
Rick, how you doing, man? You're live on the air with Chris and Ken
Oh, good. Hi, Chris. Hi, Ken.
What's up, man?
and Heather.
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Hi, Heather. I'm just sitting here in my Dallas Cowboy pajamas with one of my old English sheepdogs in my lap, hanging out.
So nice. Are the Cowboys in it this year?
Yeah, we're actually I'm going to the playoff game Saturday night. Cowboys are playing
There you go.
Who are they
Yeah,
playing?
Seattle Seahawks
Oh,
in Dallas.
it's going to be a good one.
That got to be great. Watching a Dallas Cowboys game in Dallas has to be the equivalent of us watching Steelers here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty crazy about the Steelers and
I
Antonio
know.
Brown and all that stuff.
And this brings about a conversation about the world that we live in today, man, because Heather and I haven't watched football for over a year, and not because of the whole take a knee thing, but when all that stuff was going on, we started to think about the fact that, like, these cats live a completely blessed life, and so little is required from them except to possibly be a good example and a role model. And yeah, it's in their contracts. Like that whole thing spelled out as a member of an NFL team. And it's just disappointing to see that. I mean, that's low class. And I was a big fan of Antonio Brown's, you know.
Those guys they're so young and they make so much money that they'll never be able to make up like Le'Veon Bell. I mean, he opted not to play this year, and it cost him like 15 or 16 million bucks that he'll never make up.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
Yes, sir. So what goes on for Strokers this year? Tell us the good stuff.
For 2019, I mean, my passion is the bike building end of it. So we're, the state of Texas lets us build about 10 ground up customs a year. And so we do that, and we customize a lot of bikes. We're customizing I've got a V quad, a 4-cylinder. It's basically 2 Harley motors in one case. It's an FXR that I inherited from my dad, and we are trying to get that thing ready for Sturgis. So just stuff like that. I got, that shovel head that we photographed in Sturgis of mine, that 75.
I got a picture of it right now. I'm putting up.
I'm completely redoing it this winter.
That was a great story, man. It really was.
Yeah. I hadn't seen the magazine yet. Is it out, or it's almost out?
It's just coming out now. That's
okay. Good.
The stuff we're talking about here tonight is all in the issue that's getting ready to land in the mailboxes and hit the shelves.
Yeah, if you don't get them probably by next week, Rick, give me a shout and I'll send you another bundle. I increased how many I sent you, so you should have a good amount.
Okay, good. I appreciate that, Heather.
No problem. And the story made me cry, just saying.
Well, I appreciate it. He was Mr. Calkins was a good man, that's for sure.
Right on. So one of the big things that we're talking about tonight, I had sent you the article from Mr. Jansen about the in a world of Indians strive to be a victory. I would like to hear your opinion, because I was saying before we got you on the air how moved I was by your video the day that the news came out about victory.
Yeah, that was, I was a victory dealer forever, and I really believed in victory, and I really believed in Polaris. And, that thing to me was, I don't know, it was just kind of an indictment on, I don't know, kind of, to me, it was an indictment on the soul of the industry. It's like, how dare you do this to us, not just the people that have worshipped the brand and bought the brand, but also, come on, girls, you want to come out here with me? I not only was a dealer for 18 years, but I also owned a company that just made aftermarket parts solely for victory.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's gone the wayside now. So,
well, and you were a hell of a spokesman for that brand too. I mean, there was few people that were putting it out there the way that you were, man.
I was all in, I was all in on victory, and it just, it tore my heart out to lose that, because I really believed in it, and it has caused me to be callous towards Indian.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I don't know, I guess it's like, being slapped around and beat up, and then they come back and start talking nice again, and you don't trust them, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole Indian thing. I'm out on that.
Did you get any advance notice about victory?
None. They called me. I guess that it went public at 9 a.m. on January the 9th, 2017, and he called me at like 9:05, and I asked him. I said, "How come I couldn't get? How come I couldn't get any notice? When Big Dog went out of business, I got notice. When American Iron Horse went out of business, I got notice." And he made a good point. He said, Rick, I'm only calling like 5 dealers, and he said I couldn't have given you any notice because we're a publicly held company. So which I
it'd be
didn't think
considered
about.
insider trading, yeah.
Yeah, so they couldn't give me any notice, but it was just but from that moment on, the price of Victory just plummeted. I mean, we couldn't give the bikes away, and the ones we did sell, or the interest that we did get, they wanted to pay me 50 cents on the dollar at the most.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Now,
lost.
these were bikes that you already had. You were already flooring these bikes.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, they didn't want to give you any breaks on any of that, so we lost our ass on. Oh, I had probably 30 Victories on the floor.
Oof.
So.
Well, and I figured I would ask you this too, because the rumor mill runs wild with the stories about how they handled the end of that line. What was the deal exactly with the parts, the amount of parts that were going to be made available, and how that played out?
Well, what they did, each state is different when you're a dealer on, each state protects the dealers to a certain extent, in most states, they have to buy the parts back. And of course they didn't pay you retail for the parts. So you didn't make any money there. You lost money there. They have to buy the bikes back, and I made them buy some of the bikes back. But what they put the pressure on you is, do you want to remain a servicing dealer, which you do because you sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Victories over the years. And if you're not a service center, then that they can't bring their bikes back there for you to work on. So you have to have some parts, and if you don't play ball with them, then they'll pull that from you, and you won't be able to service the customers that you have. So basically, they just they just beat you senseless.
So I have a question for you. What do you think the impetus was for them stopping the line, or did you hear anything from them about what it was that made them stop producing Victory and just go solely with Indian?
Yeah, I mean, it was according to them, they weren't making money on the Victory side of things. And in that short couple of years with Indian, they were making money. And so the way they looked at it was, okay, we have 2 completely separate companies. We have Indian motorcycles, we have Victory motorcycles. So there's a Victory marketing team and an Indian marketing team and a Victory R&D team and an Indian. So their thought process was, let's take all these resources that we have with Victory, throw all of that money into Indian, and try to make it, Harley versus Indian, like it was in the 30s, 40s, 50s kind of deal. So, but I don't see that many Indians in Dallas, and there's like 5 or 6 Indian dealers in Dallas, Fort Worth. And, we get 1,000 bikes a weekend at my place, and you see a few Indians here and there, but I don't know. I don't know how their sales are around the country. I hear that they're good, but everybody I ever talk to says they're not good. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, one of the things that they put out, I think this was like their last, or one of the last quarters, they put, that Indian, their Indian sales had increased about 20% and Victory had dropped about 5%. And so just that purely a financial, from a financial standpoint, I think that they're hoping that it's going to rebound. And, from what the numbers, at least, I kind of went back and looked at their P&L from the last few years, and it looks like, at 2015, they're above those numbers now, just with, for 2017. So obviously there was some victory in there as well, but very little, considering that they were doing all those buybacks and everything. And so 2018, I think when they put out that financial statement, I think that's going to really be the telltale sign. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what they're doing. I'm just relieved that I'm not part of that mess anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that, one of the big reasons I wanted to reach out to you tonight too was the fact that, even though the sign has come down off the building, the agreement is no longer there between you and the company, you're still very much the face for that brand when people walk in and probably want to talk to you about this stuff. And what we saw in Pat's article, he's obviously, a fevered Victory owner that has some hard feelings. So I wanted to hear from you about what kind of interactions do you have to that end?
Oh, it's universal. The people that come in there that own Victories, that have bought Victories from me or Victories other places, and they know that I'm a big Victory enthusiast. The word is betrayal. They all feel betrayed, and some of those guys are that they like to post on their social media stuff, till the wheels fall off. They're going to ride their Vicks till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Some of them have switched over to Indian, but most of them have switched back over to Harley. I had a deal, I build bikes for Allstate, and I built a bunch of Victories through Allstate, and customized over the years. And then, I helped Polaris get in with Allstate for bikes, through me and Victory. And then the last year, 2 years ago, they decided to do an Indian, and Polaris said, we don't want Rick to do the Indian. He's a Victory guy. So they had somebody else customize an Indian for the Allstate tour when Allstate wanted me to do it. And so this year they came back to me and they said, hey, we want to do a sweepstakes bike, a giveaway bike. And we want to do something like the Scout. And what are your thoughts on that, Rick? And I said, my thoughts are, can we do whatever I want to do? And they said, what do you want to do, Rick? And I said, let's do a Sportster. I said, how do you get any more American than a Sportster? How do you get any more iconic motorcycle than a Sportster? And they said, you'd rather do a Sportster than a Scout? And I said, all freaking day, Jack. So we're customizing a Sportster for Allstate.
Right on.
There you go.
I just have a bad taste towards Polaris and what they've done, not only to me, but what they've done to the industry. And I'm not buying into that whole Indian thing, and I have no doubts that Indian built a good motorcycle, and I've ridden them. And actually, I was part of the design team. They asked me to be part of the design team years ago when I was still a Victory dealer, and I did, and I'm proud to have done it. But, I'm not going to – I just have the feeling that, if the Indian sales aren't what they want them to be, they'll pull that plug in 8 seconds, man. And I don't want to be part of that again.
Yeah, that's so hard to say, what that looks like and what the decision-making process is there. I mean, it's such a small part of such a huge company, and it's so different than Harley because of that. It'd be really hard to say, yeah, they're going to be around forever. One would hope, but Rick, you as well as Chris and myself, we all know that we've seen multiple incarnations of Indian over the years, right?
Yeah.
Or let's talk about Excelsior Henderson.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
No.
So on to more happier topics. So what is the shop look like these days, Rick? You sell a lot of used motorcycles. You obviously do a lot of customization. You've got parts there. You've obviously got the restaurant, right?
Yep. We have the barn grill and all that. I mean, the motorcycle shop looks, it's full of used Harleys, whereas years ago when you walked into my showroom, it was jam-packed with big dog choppers and Texas choppers from American Iron Horse. And I mean, we sold so many choppers, I sold more big dogs than any big dog dealer in the world. We were one of the very first big dog dealers, and I believed in that, and I believed in Sheldon Coleman, and we just sold thousands of the damn things. And the guy that owned American Iron Horse was a good friend of mine, and so we sold thousands of those things too.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my dad asking me years ago, he said, "How many bikes you selling a year, son?" And I said, 300. He said, "Give me the breakdown." And I said, "I'm selling about 100 big dogs, about 100 Iron Horse, and about 100 used Harleys a year." And that was that way for years. And then 2008 rolled around and everything went south.
Do you think that there's room for something like American Iron Horse Big Dog again? I mean, there's no custom production motorcycle company out there anymore.
Yeah, I do think there's room for something like that. I mean, it's just getting the right product at the right price.
Yep. For sure. And nobody's going to pay 20 grand for a bike with no suspension.
Yeah. No, that's you'd be surprised.
I don't know about that. I'd be more interested in talking about one of the things you said when we first asked you what's going on in the shop this year. You said, well, the state of Texas lets us build about 10 motorcycles a year. So much has changed with titling and insurance and EPA regulation. I think that's our biggest inhibitor, more than almost anything else, man. The price point, like at one point you couldn't get guys to pay enough. I mean, they were just forking over dough for these bikes.
Yeah, no, they were. I mean, we were selling them all day long for 30 grand. I mean, it was 30 grand, 30 grand, and that was like it was nothing. And then, things started tightening up, and, it was tough to get money out of them.
Well, and floor planning, financing, all that stuff. Without that in place, it's a moot point.
Yeah.
You're not going to sell anything if you don't have any financing in place, right?
Yeah, so the financing for those bikes has been up and down over the years, when it got to a point to where you couldn't finance them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when because they were getting scared of the market, and the finance companies pulled out on Big Dog and Iron Horse, and then the inevitable happened.
Yep. And part of that too, I have to say, is the classic chicken and the egg, like which happened first, nobody's really sure of. But there was a great devaluation process that happened whenever the insurance companies started to disseminate between what was what value, a factory motorcycle that had a factory insured quality of assembly versus, what level builder, what level rebuilder. It got a real big gray area about how they were determining. And the way that plays out is the fact that when you totaled your motorcycle, they were starting to educate these insurance adjusters to come out and go, hey, your 49 panhead there, that's not a 49 panhead frame. That's a Paco frame. So we're going to devalue that greatly.
Yeah.
So it made a difference.
True. That's absolutely correct.
Yes, sir.
So, I don't know. I mean, we're still... we still have our eggs in a bunch of different baskets, and thank God my barn grill drives a lot of traffic, and we try to work on those bikes and sell those guys parts and customize bikes and build ground up customs, and just whatever we can.
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, that makes so much sense, right? That cafe restaurant idea, bar, because people come to motorcycle shops a lot of times just to hang out. And this gives them a place to go
Oh yeah,
spend money and do that,
that
right?
place is brilliant.
That was my original idea. Was my buddies and I used to sit around and we used to say, the perfect motorcycle shop. What's a perfect motorcycle shop? And it was, a shop that would have custom stuff. You could walk in and see, Pat Kennedy stuff, sitting there, and Arlen Ness stuff sitting there, and Don Hotop, stuff like that. And I said the perfect motorcycle shop is a motorcycle shop and a bar and grill together, where you can pull your bike up, get a beer, walk around outside in the parking lot with your bike, take your beer into the motorcycle shop. And we all said, that would be awesome, but there's no way you can have a motorcycle shop combined with a beer joint. And and I figured out a way to make it happen. And then when I first opened up, all the Harley shops said, "Oh my God, this kid's crazy. Oh my God, he's mixing Harleys and beer. You can't do that." And now every motorcycle shop in Dallas Fort Worth gives away free beer on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yep.
Wow.
And all of the Harley shops that were, all the owners of the Harley shops when I started, all of those guys are gone, and it's all new guys. They've all changed hands at least once.
Mm-hmm.
And this may or may not have been in your original plan whenever you were coming up with the perfect motorcycle shop. But one of the things that I think is excellent about your place, it's not only a great place to hang out and a lot of fun and everything, it's become a service location, a service vehicle for the industry. Like last year, we were at your place for an unveiling of the Crystal Hess's motorcycle missions. Yeah, and like you really lend yourself and that whole place out to be a part of the community. When people have special functions and things to do like that, it's happening there, man.
It does, and it's cool because people know that if somebody has a cause or something that they want to get the word out, they know that if they come to my place, they can not only bring in their people, but they have my regular customers to help spread the word to, because they know, if they come to my place on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, I'm going to have, 500 to over 1,000 bikes there. So if somebody's got a good cause or a charity or whatever, and we decide to let them kind of set up, they have a big built-in crowd to get their message to, to draw off of, kind of a deal.
Yep.
Wow.
So it works good. It works pretty good.
Right on.
So I'm sure you've told this story a million times, but tell everyone, for the people that don't know, tell them about the tie-dye and where that came from, why that ended up being kind of your signature.
Years ago, a lady asked me, she said, it was probably 15 years ago, she said, "Man, Rick, you sure are a good marketing person." And I said, "Thank you." And she said, "How did you come up with all that tie-dye and long hair and Chuck Taylors and all that?" And I said, "I didn't come up with that. That's just who I am." But when I really figured it out was I was on the Easy Riders years ago. Easy Riders used to have a centerfold tour,
Yeah.
and I was on it, and Indian Larry was on it, and Kim Suter, and it was a bunch of different ones of us over the years, and I was in so every Saturday and Sunday, and wherever I would go on the Easy Rider show, I would take tie-dye, and I would wear my tie-dye. And we were in Indianapolis, and my wife was with me, and she forgot to pack a couple of tie-dye shirts. And I thought those people were going to lynch me. I mean, I took 1,000 pictures, and they all said, "Where's your tie-dye? Where's your?" So my wife said, "I can't forget the tie-dye." And I said, "You can't." I said, "I guess that's my thing now is, people want to see me in tie-dye, and that's what I like. So what the hell? It's a tie-dye thing."
Nice.
Yes, sir. I was telling Ken about the first time you agreed to do an interview for the magazine, and when you did the the piece on doing a cross up, shooting a peace sign, and I was like, man, it took me back to being 8 years old on my YZ80.
Right. I was so proud of that. I used to practice and practice and practice of doing a one-handed wheelie while I was shooting the peace sign. And
Yeah,
I
buddy.
finally got to where I could do it. I was the proudest guy in the country.
That's where it's
so
at.
great.
Yeah, those are the good days.
Well, cool, man. Listen, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing some time with us. You've been a fantastic friend through the years, and I wanted to make sure I got you in on this talk because it actually turns out that this is still quite a hot button issue. Like there's a lot of deep feelings about this, and I mean now we got the whole 100-year war thing going on between Indian guys and Harley guys again, and I want to just take a minute and address that, and before we move on to another one man's opinion.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate everything that y'all do for the industry, and I'm just proud to be friends with you guys.
Right on, man. Well, thank you very much. We're gonna get you back on here pretty soon.
Yeah,
All
thanks,
right,
Rick.
sounds
We
good.
really appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, good talking to y'all.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
So for people that don't know, if you go to strokersdallas.com, you can see almost everything that they have.
Yeah.
And kind of get a feel for what's going on. So
pretty cool. So listen, we're having a little bit of spotty reaction from our whole social media app thing tonight. So we're gonna go back to the manual version.
yeah.
We've got people from everywhere tonight.
All right.
We've got Miss Judy coming to us live from
upstairs
at Cyclesource HQ. Jeffrey Garber, much love and respect for Strokers from Las Vegas. Courtney Lambert said, no way this is live. Rick's bedtime was 3 hours ago. Barclay Smashy, Strokers is such a killer place. Gina Woods was here. Happy New Year, everyone. She's working on a couple big proposals tonight for some cool upcoming stuff. Best to everyone in 2019.
She is a grinder. That woman
Yes.
grinds.
Grant Hellegast just joined us.
Nice.
Nice to see you, Anthony Robbins.
Hey, wait a minute. If he's on the air right now, that reminds me. We have a little bit of business to do. We got some tech coming in tonight for you guys. Thanks to our good friends over at S&S. So we're going to take a look at some product.
Hey everyone, this is Todd from S&S Cycle. Today we're going to install a header on this 2016 Street Glide. As you can see, we've removed the heat shields from this header to more clearly illustrate the installation process. S&S headers are constructed to precision tolerances to fit snugly around your cylinders. And today we'll show you how to install that header without damaging your engine.
Do not try and install both ends of the header at the same time. The cylinder head fins get in the way. If you install the front header first, it will make it more difficult to install the rear header. Our preferred method is maneuver the rear header over the cylinder fins. Then position the front header over the cylinder fins. Now locate the rear header into the exhaust port. Pull firmly to locate the front header into the exhaust port.
That's the overview of header installation. For more complete exhaust installation videos, please visit our YouTube channel.
All right, and thanks again to our buddies over at S&S, man, making the kick-ass products that give you the go fast.
All right.
Sure.
So who else? We have Anthony Davis from Connecticut here, Brian Ferran from Kentucky. Brian is Bluegrass Engraving, who did our belt buckles for the InMotion. He killed it. Eric Christensen from Spectral Oils just joined us.
Hey.
Welcome, Eric. Steve Broyles is here. Steve, isn't it almost time for you to come back on the show?
Poppy.
Yeah, seriously.
I just watched a video today of him riding Billy Lane's Perry Mac around the track.
Nice.
Yeah, buddy.
So good.
Doug Dennison from Ohio is here. Mike Yurko from Canada. Yurko Racing is in the house. Missy is here. Hi, Missy. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone.
Look, we actually
Man,
have
we've got
Missy
a
up
bunch
on
of people.
our chat app. Yurko Racing, Anthony Davis, Connecticut.
I just said
Moonshiner.
that. You're repeating me.
Yeah, what the
Savannah
hell's going on?
Rose.
Is there an echo?
Huh? Michigan is watching. Bill Stevens. Bill makes those bitchin' little XS650s. Remember him?
Actually,
Yeah.
he won our Sturgis motorcycle rodeo out at the ranch last
Yep.
year on the coolest little chopper.
Yep. So
He
yeah,
rocks.
we're watching you guys. Thanks for participating with us. Now, Ken, you actually did have some other concerns about the article that you wanted to bring up too, right?
Do you really want to do this?
No,
All right.
I do. It's supposed to engage people for conversation.
So my biggest issue in the world of fake news is that this is an opinion article, but I feel like people can take this as fact because I think Cycle Source is a trusted news source. Are we the Wall Street Journal? No. We're not going out there researching stuff. But there's a few things in there. The one specifically that just ruffled my feathers was, towards the end, it says, we were excited about the FTR 750, and they gave us, surprise, a redress scout in the FTR 1200, and everybody goes gaga for it. It is not even close to a scout. It's a totally different frame, totally different power. I mean, there's not one piece on there, and this is coming from a guy who, I feel I don't have any brand allegiance to anything. I think
No, but you have to illustrate your qualification to speak to this. I can understand why this would upset you because you test ride.
There is,
you test ride all these bikes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm intimately aware of everything. I get a lot of, yes, it is corporate communications, but I get a lot of information from them. I've talked to engineers there. It goes on and on and on, right?
So,
and yeah, maybe I've drank the Kool-Aid, but if you go and look at the actual diagram of the FTR 1200 and a Scout, they are not even remotely the same.
Okay, Heather got something.
Pat Jansen actually just joined us on
Hey,
Facebook
buddy.
Live.
There we are.
Thought I'd throw that out.
So that's the biggest thing. I totally understand, and I could see it in Rick tonight, or I could hear it in Rick tonight. There's a huge disappointment. There's a huge betrayal that people feel. I understand that. I understand feeling an allegiance to a brand. For the people that don't know, I worked for Sucker Punch Sally for the better part of 5 years. And I actually shed tears at times when I figured out what was going on and that was not going to keep happening.
Yep.
It was something I put my heart and soul into. So I understand that. And I still have a version of a Sucker Punch in my garage. It's not really a Sucker Punch, but so I get, but I think to bring Indian in on that, and I know it's owned by the same brand, and I get it. It's tough because I've always seen them as totally different. And to be honest with you, other than the ride of the cross country, like I loved the Victory cross country, and I think anybody that read my review of that bike would see that. But I equally love, that Indian Chieftain, I one of those this summer, and man, it was, and to be fair, I equally love that Road Glide Special, that I rode to California in one day. I mean, there's, it takes a lot for me to not like a motorcycle, there's been a few, been a few over the years that people have read reviews of. But that's, so anyways, I get it. I understand the brand allegiance. I understand, the feeling personally, assaulted. But I also understand the business decision, Indian was up 20%. Victory was down 5%. They're like, hey, let's see what we can do. And, it seems to have panned out in terms of sales because their sales are about the same now.
Well, like I said, though, that's still... it's going to be an interesting 2019 for a lot of the companies. for a lot of the companies. But one of the things I got to tell you that I loved about Pat's article, and let's go back to it here for a second. And like I said, this is hitting newsstands anytime now. You guys can go out and check it out. We're actually going to do a blog piece with this article and tonight's show all connected. But the one thing that Pat did that I really loved is in the first part of it, he does a whole breakdown of the generations, you know, the boomers and Generation X. And, you know, when he gets to millennials, dude, I love his take on millennials because it is so Generation X smart ass, like, you know, next in line to be the old guy in the room. It was perfect. He sounds like a grumpy old bastard like I hear myself sometimes.
Well, and you know, my sister is a millennial and she gets so offended by this shit. Like I almost called her today and was like, "Hey, can you just read this thing and just give me your take on it?" Because she's not, you know, she's like a grinder. Like she, you know, is in, anyway. It's but I understand, but you know, the other piece of that is that he talks, you know, a lot about, and everybody should read it. All right. So you can form your own opinion. You know, what Chris and I are talking about here are just our takes on it. Right. You should go read this article. And, you know, if you don't have a subscription, go get it on the newsstand in a week or so. But, you know, his opinion on, you know, millennials not having kind of a unique perspective and wanting to appropriate previous. You know, we did the same thing. You know, we've done the same thing. You know, I mean, with whether it was, you know, bobbers, right? Like, I'm not the originator of a bobber, but goddamn, I really like those bikes. You know,
choppers, we've done it vests, to an extent. Boots, but one of the things I got to side with Pat about, I have yet to see this generation make their mark, their own original mark. And I mean, listen, the saddest thing that I can say is that my generation was responsible for the 80s, because that was a fucking shame right there. But we were responsible. It was original. It was weird, but
in that velour jumpsuit that he used to wear.
That was Seth, goddammit.
Yeah, whatever. Sure,
but you know, I mean, I want to see, and this goes back again. We have the most amount of means to communicate with each other, the least amount of it actually happening. I believe that, you know, this generation's social skills have been hamstrung by social media and a made-up world and virtual reality, that where all this shit is going on, and in the real world, they still have yet to figure out how to be.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and I agree. And I think, I think the thing that's interesting, I was just kind of pondering this, which is, you know, I don't consider myself a biker.
No.
Right? Like I see you as a biker.
Really?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I see you as a biker. I see Pat Jansen as a biker. I see, you know, Pat Patterson as a biker. I see Cochran as a but I've never considered myself that, and not because I don't feel like I deserve that moniker, I guess. Like I see that as like something that you really have to earn. And what I see myself as is somebody who really, really enjoys motorcycles. And, you know, the case in point is that, you know, I can only imagine what the fucking
Anthony Robinson, the 80s, cocaine is a hell of a drug. Why'd I do it? 'Cause I'm Rick James, bitch. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Of course, I never put my feet on Eddie Murphy's sofa.
So I had a couple guys over the holidays, and they're both machinists, right? Uh-huh. And so they're talking about shit like, I'm sure, you know, Will Ramsey would have been right at home. But I was like, I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, it turned to motorcycles. Actually, you know what how it turned to motorcycles was the new cover of AMD with that, I'm going to say it, abortion of a motorcycle that's on the cover.
Yeah.
That's like, it just doesn't look like a motorcycle. And I was like, look at this, guys. And they were like, oh, and we started talking about motorcycles, and I realized, like, as much passion as they have about being a machinist, mm-hmm. I have about motorcycles. And I'm like talking about stuff, and I just, all of a sudden, I just see them like, it just glazes over. They're like, Okay.
Like you're talking
into
about
it
quantum
right
physics, right?
now. Yeah.
Okay.
You're into it right now. We're not interested in this.
So Mama Duke says, Ken, you're a nerd.
Thanks. Where's my glasses?
Wait a minute. I
Drew
want
Woodford
to. Yeah.
wants
Wait.
to know why you're so white.
That's wrong. In today's political climate, you have to say that I'm pigmentally challenged. You can't say
Why
that.
are you so?
You can't
And I'm
say.
so dark.
Here, wait.
Why am I so dark?
Now you're really gonna get us in trouble.
All right, so Rich Petoniak. Polaris is a $3 billion a year corporation and has been around for over 60 years and is the largest motorsports company in the world. They own boat companies, Evinrude, etc. It does suck for Victory owners, but Indian brand is as American as Harley and has so much history. It's a smart business decision to run with the... Scroll down.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid. Rich is drinking the Kool-Aid. And that's cool, man.
No, but listen.
It's a smart business decision to run with the Indian brand instead of Victory.
I agree.
Pat Jansen, if Victory had the Octane and Indian didn't have the Scout, Indian wouldn't be where they are.
Yeah, what the hell happened to the Octane? I rode it once, and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
You're
thing
full of the
fucking
F-bombs tonight, Ken. What did you put in your juice?
Wait a second though. Back to Rich Petoniak. Yes, you're right. But here's where we're having a great communication gap anymore. Here is business. Here is we love riding fucking motorcycles. You know, this far apart. Not always here. Sometimes, not always. So what we're talking about, man, is the passion and the investment on the, to use a business term, end consumer. You know,
Sure.
this when somebody makes a determination to pick a brand, and they get behind that brand, and you're talking about how many years was Victory a brand? Would they
10, 15.
Okay.
10, 15, something like
that many years, over a decade, you know, that
Yep.
they're building their team. You know, of course there's going to be some. I mean, these guys they were bleeding Victory as much as all you guys are bleeding Indian or Harley right now. You know what I mean? So they are literally a man without a country once that brand goes away.
But would a picture of a dude with a Victory tattoo on his back make it into an art display like Michael Lichter's? No.
Okay.
It never became iconic.
No, and I don't know.
That brand never became iconic.
I don't know about the whole iconic thing because, again, like as much as my caveman appearance might suggest to you that I am a biker, I'm never getting that
Dude,
shit
you took
tattooed.
your bandana off for the goddamn show. I know you did.
I'm never getting that shit tattooed on my body. You know what I mean?
No
Not.
shit, man.
I'm just not.
Somebody else's fucking brand. Although I do have a Social D tattoo, so I guess I'm.
I have a Cycle Source 10-year anniversary, 15-year anniversary tattoo. I'm getting ready to get my 20th one finally. 2 years too late, but
Wow.
that's my brand.
You got that much real estate on your ass?
So anyway,
I just said real estate on your ass.
I know, and it was a little sexy.
Shall I leave you alone?
Seriously though, this is what we wanted. You guys are getting fired up. People are talking about that. I love it. People, Larry Marshall says people love to talk about Victory, but very, very few bought them. I'd like to. Hey, listen, I'd like to see those numbers though. Let's see Victory's numbers in their last year of sales with Indian's current year of sales. I'd like to see.
Nobody puts out fucking
Right.
unit sales. Harley does.
Dude, your mouth.
You know-
Jeez,
You know who has those numbers? The Motorcycle Industry Council.
Yeah.
It'd be great if everyone else did.
I actually thought about calling somebody I know, not over
Wait a
there,
minute.
but membership.
Drew Woodford again. When I think of a biker, he looks like Chris. Stop thinking of me about like that way. You're uncomfortable.
Yeah. He thinks of Chris on a motorcycle with just a loincloth.
Wow, wow, wow. All right, let's take a turn off of this weird road and do one more product piece.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Brian from J&P Cycles. If you're a performance V-twin guy, Metzler has an all-new tire in the Metzler Cruise Tech that's right up your alley. Now, I was fortunate and I had a chance to test ride these and put about 8 hours worth of riding on them from multiple bikes, from Indian Scouts all the way up to big Harley baggers. Because this tire is a revolution and not an evolution, you're gonna get some key upgraded components such as high levels of cornering grip, but still gives you your typical cruiser longevity in life. And the way they do that is with the compounds and tread pattern. It's a completely new and unique design to Metzler and this tire. Now, whether it's a smaller bike or again a heavier bike, that stability is going to give you a more confident feel and not give you that kind of squirm when you're going through a corner. Well, Metzler did a good job at the silicates and the cuts in this tire to offer you a tremendous amount of confidence, whether it's one of those dewy morning rides or if you're just caught out in a rainstorm. Well, again, I put about eight hours on these things and I was really impressed. It was really fun on the Scout. That's a pretty light bike and we were able to just to really rail it in the canyon roads. We were in the Ozarks, what a beautiful place. Then we've got it up on the bigger bikes. I was really surprised. This isn't just old motors we're talking about either. These were cammed M8 motors that really produce a good amount of grunt. It wasn't that easy to kick these things loose. It felt good and it was enjoyable. I think these tires actually supersede what most V-twin cruisers are capable of doing. When you check these out, make sure to use our tire finder at jpcycles.com to get the right fitment for your bike. Check them out and thanks for watching.
So I can proudly say that I was on the press launch, that they, like the Ozarks where they're riding, I was riding those bikes too. This is not like any tire you can imagine that's come out for American cruiser motorcycles.
Time out.
Go ahead.
Okay. Why aren't you telling everyone that you're the reason that this tire came out?
Oh, because I'm not going to say that. I was involved in a conversation that started them talking about this, but
yeah, because I think it's important. It's important that people know that that there were conversations that were going on, and you were talking about specifically there needing to be a tire like this, especially for heavier bikes, right? Especially for the bigger cruisers, right?
And I was lucky enough to have a conversation with Salvo Panisi, who's the director of everything R&D, and he's a multiple world record holder in motorcycle racing, and he's an incredible human being to talk to. But I brought up the fact that like the idea that a lot of the industry, and especially like when you consider how people look at the American motorcycle industry, they think of fat old guys who just want to slowly meander across the country, and guys my age and younger, man, I take my shit to the Dragon. You know what I mean? Like, and there's guys out there that'll tell you about how I ride my bikes, choppers and baggers, on the Dragon. So I was illustrating the fact that there's a whole demographic of people coming up that they're gonna need a choice in tires that's exceeding what's out there today. And man, they came out with this thing that you cannot even believe, dude. You cannot even believe. But we're doing a full review in next month's magazine, so you can check that out.
Awesome.
Thanks to JP Cycles for putting this early quick look out for us.
Yeah, I'm excited to get on those. I've heard nothing but good things, and I only run Metzlers on my bike. Yep. That's the reality, because that's what I found over the years to be the most dependable in all sorts of conditions.
So back to the news for a minute. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do the work. Let's do the work of a proper motorcycle news show. And again, we're back to the 100-year war. Indian Motorcycle makes Akrapovic exhaust stock on FTR 1200S with race replica paint. Thank God somebody made a different exhaust.
Well, I mean, when you looked at what S&S did, they put their exhaust out there literally within like 2 hours of the bike being released, and everybody was like, oh yeah, that's so much better. Right. And so I think Indian saw the writing on the wall. It's $1,000 more than what they said the MSRP was going to be, right? Which also tells me that bike has not been delivered yet. I don't know. Has anybody seen an FTR 1200 on the dealer showroom floor? I heard that they were coming out early 2019.
Rich Petoniak, this is a good time for you to come back in.
Yeah,
Since
let us know.
You're up there at the Springfield Indian dealership. Do you have one of those on the floor?
Yeah. But I think that makes sense. If they're really building a bike that's supposed to be a performance bike, put a put a performance exhaust on it. How many shares are we at so far?
46. If we can
Nice.
get to 50, I'm going to give the 50th one a t-shirt. So
Ooh.
Rebecca,
What's it gonna say? I'm with stupid.
Rebecca Cunningham, do you see her comment? I wish my Metzlers were that good. My rear tire slowly leaked the whole friggin' cannonball. Motorcycle maintenance.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's
Rebecca's
all I'm going to say.
yeah, but Rebecca's awesome about that. You can't dog her for that. If anybody's good about it, she is. Stork is in the house. Mad Stork.
Nice.
Nice to see you, Mad Stork. Happy New Year. Long John from Sacred Skin Tattoo in Payson, Arizona is watching us tonight.
Oh,
And,
how's that
let's
snow
see.
down there?
I know. Drew Woodford, he wants to know if you'd consider those new cruise techs for the War
No,
Pony.
because they're not high-speed tires, and I plan to come back to Bonneville with a vengeance.
Oh.
Rebecca Cunningham did that, so she's putting it in my face.
Yeah. In
Rich,
your face,
Rich,
Chris.
Rich Petoniak, we have 9 coming in.
Ask
coming
him
in.
when. Maybe we'll happen to be in New Hampshire, like coming through, because we can go home through Springfield.
9 FTRs by April.
Oh,
By April. Oh, that's way.
that's
off.
way too far.
Yeah, that's a ways off.
Okay, so back to the news.
So in theory, I should be riding one of those soon. They're going to do a media launch for them, and so my guess would be it's probably going to be Daytona. I bet they're going to do it down in Daytona.
This is this next item, man. It comes in from the Washington Post, and it's really like a sad thing to report. But apparently, 2019 Rolling Thunder will be the last Rolling Thunder rally in DC.
Yep.
You immediately had the inside skinny on this, but I'm just bummed because that's been such a staple in the culture for so long.
Yeah, it says reasons which determined our decision were the Pentagon security, police, Washington police officials, continued lack of cooperation, increased harassment to our supporters and sponsors. And, this was meant to be, for people that don't know, that ride was meant to be a protest for all of the POWs and MIAs that are unaccounted for. And they continue to do that. And if you go to their website, you will see every day when remains are found of somebody MIA or POW, they post it. They post it where they came from. They post their name. They post everything. And so they are doing a really good service.
This part right here from Pete Zaleski, National Vice President of Rolling Thunder Incorporated. The nonprofit group that organized the ride said staging the event cost about $200,000. The group actually lost $20,000 last year.
Yep.
That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sad news. We're sad to hear that.
Yep. Let's blame it on the president. Right? We blame everything else on him. Why not blame that on him?
Son of a bitch.
So
Yeah.
it looks like we're going to go backwards just for 1 second. It looks like Pat might have done some homework. Pat Jansen. The Octane outperformed the North American market in retail growth by 11% in 2016.
Oh, I believe it.
Wow.
Yeah, that bike was a hell of a bike, which is why, it makes sense that the FTR 1200 is going to be so seemingly so popular.
So that's what we wanted, though. We wanted this column. Hopefully we get more of these in. I've asked Rick, actually, to write one, and we're looking for people who have a unique perspective on some of the different things that are happening in motorcycling today. So you can get a hold of us through the website, through cyclesource.com, if you want to be considered for a one man's opinion article. Also in the news, this is right near our hometown, but the 19th annual Vintage Motorcycle Exhibit opens Saturday at the Packard Museum. If you have not been to the Packard
And it's the
Museum,
National Packard Museum.
Yeah.
There's two different ones. This is the National Packard Museum, just FYI.
and this is, we just say the Packard Museum because we've been there 100 times. Warren, Ohio, really, really killer over the years. They've done some amazing displays. They did one called Motorcycles at Work and War that was killer, and it's a great exhibit every time they put something together. I would not miss this. Definitely put it on your calendars. This year, they're focusing on stories and legacies of the machine and the riders who propelled the machines in the annals of motorcycle history. So check them out. This is at valley24.com. You can get more news over here at the packardmuseum.org.
Yep.
And give them a follow.
Well, hot damn, we just hit 56 shares. Somebody's
Nice.
getting a shirt.
Somebody's getting a shirt.
Somebody's getting a shirt. I'll message you.
All right.
That's what's up.
Well, if we make it to 100 in the next 2 minutes, I'll send a shirt and a what do I have? I've got keychains. Cool Forever 2 Wheels keychains.
Right on. Jason Sims is watching us. He's traveling tonight.
Hey, that's funny. He's our next news item.
He is our next news item.
That's
It's
right.
just been announced that this year's Motorcycle Cannonball will be taking a north to south route.
The next
So cool.
motorcycle cannonball.
But yeah,
Not this year.
Not this year. I'm sorry.
2020.
2020. 2020 is a big year.
Chris is going to be 50 in
You
2020.
Shut your mouth.
Wow.
Chris is
really?
going to be 50 in 2020.
I know.
That's
So
awesome.
we were
It's
trying to
not
think of
awesome.
things to do for his 50th birthday, and I have 2 suggestions, and y'all can give our votes. I say we do the Four Corners trip, or Chris's 50th state to ride in is Hawaii. That will be his 50th state.
And Noah said he'll lend me a bike.
For sure do that.
So I'm thinking that the 50
Hawaii.
for 50 might be kind of cool. But the Four Corners trip could be really cool too. So,
Oh, Four Corners is ridiculous.
right? I think that would be so awesome. But it's going to be up to him and see what we can work out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who else. Jay Allen just joined in. Justin Lineweber joined in. We met Justin out at Bonneville this year, and he was so cool. He was with Buell Brothers and Sisters Racing, and he was just great to hang out with, hands-on, helps with everything.
You gotta love those guys, right? The ones that just jump in. You don't have to say anything. It's like a Tom
Yeah.
Kiefer. You know, they
Yep.
just jump in and just start doing stuff. You're like, all right, thanks.
Absolutely. Drew Woodford from Trot Parlor and Buell Brothers and Sisters Racing wants to let everyone know that the Hooligan flat track races are going to be back at Arizona Bike Week, and they're going to be huge this year.
Cool. Nick's gonna race in that on that tracker that he's building for the magazine.
Oh,
Hey,
right on.
I saw earlier too, Mike Yurko was putting it out there that the International Motorcycle Shows in Toronto this weekend.
Yes.
That's those people have always supported us real well. So if you're anywhere near that area, it's pretty cool because unlike here where there seems to be a different indoor motorcycle show every week of every month through the winter, up there this is their show, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the IMS New York or something.
Yeah. Big deal.
It's
All
it's a
right.
huge deal.
So we have a couple more questions. Jamie Roberts, what model Metzler is the one mentioned here? I used to use the Metzlers, then tried Dunlop American Elite. The Elites were okay, but Metzler gave me the most satisfaction. Jamie, they're a new
Cruise Tech.
brand new tire, Cruise Tech, that
yep.
are coming out, I think just now.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm. Jane, you can get them at J&P.
Yep. We got a bunch of stuff coming in. Let's see. You've been called an old fart, Chris.
Yeah.
So far we have 2 votes for Hawaii for 50
So
for 50.
I love this north to south route because it's got I'm back on the cannonball
That's
thing.
okay.
I want to give this the proper attention. So they start in, it looks like Canada, I'm assuming.
Sault
It
Ste.
has a
Marie.
funny name.
Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah. Traverse City, and then it hits Kitty Hawk, Myrtle Beach. It looks like, I don't know, Nashville or something, and then Arkadelphia,
Luckenbach, Texas.
Luckenbach, and then ends up in South Padre Island.
Is this technically a Three Flags run, man? That's
Jason
awesome.
says he has a big announcement coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told him.
Would you like to come on the show and do it live?
Yeah,
I have a
let's
big
do it live.
announcement for 2019 coming up next week. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey man, we'd love to have you on if you want to come do it.
Ken, for you, David Morrill. Thank you, Ken. My father and his younger brother were among the MIA pilots lost in Vietnam. The attention drawn to the POW MIA issued by the Rolling Thunder helped put the pressure on the government. My uncle was returned in 1983 and buried at West Point. My father was returned in 2001 and buried at Arlington.
Crazy, right?
Yep.
That's insane, right?
Oh.
That it takes that long, and then but it happens. You
Yeah.
know, and it only happens because of organizations like Rolling Thunder. So,
Yep.
so all you people out there that say that protests are bad, they're not.
Jason says it is a 3 flags. We will cross borders.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. That means
We
for
might have to do that.
that means for all you people that carry the federal ID card that I have also, you're going to want to get your passports way in advance.
They don't let you in Canada, do they?
They do. I have to sit in a little room for many, many hours.
Yeah.
And they refer to me as, hey, you, 2 felonies, come here. It's awesome. I love it. So let's go over a couple events real quick. Obviously, coming up very soon, we got our eyes on this, even though it's about the weather's about to hit the shits. Chopper Time in Daytona, the one, the only, the place to be. Tropical Willie's.
Greatest chopper show on earth.
That's right. Everything that you guys come to expect at Willie's. Big Rick and the Troublemakers, Roadside Marty. Everybody's going to be there. It's a place to be in Daytona. Come hang out with us.
And 100% of the proceeds goes to the Veteran Support Fund. Willie doesn't keep any of it. We don't get any of it. Nobody gets any of it except the Veteran Support Fund. So,
Good man.
Nice.
Good man right there. We'll see you guys in Daytona. Also, the Realities Ride
Yeah.
coming up before we know it. May is not actually that far away.
It certainly isn't.
this is a new one. Chris and I will be there. We're going to be doing a bike show and some bike games. So, we hope to see everybody there.
Thanks to Ken rolling us out to his neighborhood.
I
That's
love
going to be
Colorado.
fun.
Right.
And it's such a great organization. I can't even tell you, like, especially this time of year, they provide so much support, and it'd be great if every community had this, but they basically do everything that social services can't do for kids in need. So if they need braces and the family can't afford it and social services won't do that, they'll do it for them. You know, if they need a bed, they'll do it. If they need Christmas presents, they'll do it. And he basically gets Craig gets calls every day for kids in need. So it's a great, really great charity. I'm really proud to be a part of it.
That's awesome. We're excited to be there.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun, and we're gonna ride.
I know. Listen, that's what I wanted to bring up real quick. Remember the time that you and I rode to the Salt Flats from your place that we took that northern, like northwestern?
Canyon.
Yeah, we've got to take Heather on that ride.
Oh yeah,
What's it called?
yeah. It's called the Pooter Canyon. I know.
Right? Even
The dime.
sounds good.
I think.
Pooter Canyon. Chris is like getting off and like taking pictures, shit.
Look
I'm
at me,
like,
I'm
come
in
on,
Pooter
let's try.
Canyon.
What are you doing, man?
I said, Ken, ride through that tunnel again. I'm going to be up on the side of the ledge.
So we went up that road to get to the yurt. Actually,
Oh,
we just
no
kept
kidding.
going. Yeah, we kept going up
And it
that
goes,
road basically.
What, like up through
over Camp-
Steamboat Springs? And
Yep, before
That's
Steamboat was
beautiful.
where the yurt was. Yeah, and we saw on the way back from the yurt, we saw 4 moose. I like moose.
So,
I do too, actually.
They're cool.
I have
They're
to tell you
ginormous.
guys some good stuff here. We're breaking expectations with Shop Talk all the time now. Regularly, the show is exceeding our wildest dreams for reach and engagement, and we thank you so much for that. Keep us in mind week to week. Keep liking, keep sharing. If you don't know how that happens, if you're here by accident or you're watching this through some other means, go up, hit the little like button, go up above it, hit the little bell. Make sure you get notified whenever we go live. That way it'll tell you that we're live. I'll tell you the one thing that blows my mind is like where technology's at today. There's never been a better time, man. Like last week, as soon as we finished the New Year's Eve show, I went into my living room and put our show on my television.
Crazy.
Dude, it was so cool. It was so cool.
It's bananas, yeah. And for all you people that are listening out there in podcast form, whether you're in Brazil or Great Britain or Mexico or wherever you might be, we get a ton of people from all over the world, Australia, listening. We really appreciate it. If you can like and comment on that, and just rate and review us. If you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, any of that, share it with your friends. That really helps as well. We got a great backlog of long form interviews as well, with people like, I don't know, Keanu Reeves, Paul Yaffe, Aaron Green, Michael Lichter, I think was my first guest. Jeff Cochran, Willie from Chopper Time. I mean, just a lot of really great guests. So if you're on a road trip or you're just, bored at work, you can put your earbuds in and, listen to it.
So check this out. I was thinking about this today because we keep talking about, like, we had Tyler Porter on here not too long ago, who does the in-slide line for Cycle Source from month to month. It's a inside flat track kind of deal. And Tyler's interview was so good on Shop Talk that we're actually talking about doing a once a month podcast with him, right? So what if we had, because we were looking for a way, Ken's been doing all this work with Forever Two Wheels Forever, Cycle Source Magazine and Grease and Gears, and we came together finally on this project with Shop Talk. What if we had Forever Two Wheels kind of as the central hub, and Shop Talk is Shop Talk? We bring in-slide line in, we do some tech stuff, and like each of those things is its own individual personality, but it all happens under Forever Two Wheels.
Sure. That's what's happening already.
I mean, that would that way moving forward, we can start directing people to, a more comprehensive website where we can do some other forms of engagement, and plug in some editorial and different things about that. We can do some program dialogue, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and it's just a blog format right now. There's a ton of imagery on there, and then mostly just podcast posts. So, but yeah, it's super easy to use. We could easily do that.
So again, we want to one more time thank our brand new sponsor this week, Hot Leathers. You can see them if you're not aware of this company. If you have bought a rally t-shirt at a major motorcycle rally within the last 50 years, quite likely you have purchased a Hot Leather product. Big supporters of not just this show and Ken and I individually, but the motorcycle industry. Hot Leathers is always getting behind everything, man, and helping everybody out. So Andy and Jerry and all the guys there, we appreciate your support on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, they do the design every year now for the Lichter exhibit. They do, cool T-shirts, shop jackets, all that stuff. So they've been working on that for years and years now. So really good people over there.
And one more time, don't forget, handle your Christmas tree responsibly. Burn it down. No, but seriously. Again, I want to thank you guys for making us part of your week here, keeping the Shop Talk thing going. Blondie, you got anything on the way out?
A lot of good feedback this week, and I really appreciate it. We Brenda and Jack were here.
Oh, right on.
Mr. Aguilar, because I can say his last name and not his first name, said he's going to be checking out the podcast. Vince Canones loves the podcast.
Let us know, you podcast guys, let us know what you think about the audio, because we're dialing that in more and more all the time. We take this work, as much as we stand here and act like jackasses at times, we take the work very seriously. So I have an entire mixing board sitting beside me. There's 4 monitors in front of me that I'm trying to keep track of all this. So I want to know feedback.
For sure.
Ken and I talk about this all the time, and we're trying to make it better, and that only happens through you.
Yep, definitely.
Awesome. Josh Campbell loves the show.
So anybody that doesn't know what the new cover looks like, I'm gonna give it away.
Oh yeah, people are just getting them.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's the new cover.
And going back to that guy again, like that cat was virtually an unknown. Won at Willie's. We snatched him up, took a shoe to the bike real quick, put it on the cover.
It's good stuff. It's a clean looking bike.
Yeah, and he was really nice and really humble, and
yeah, good dude.
That particular bike was actually the second incarnation of the first bike he ever owned, which was really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, good guy.
All right, man. So I guess that's about it for this week.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. Again, thank you guys. Thank you, Blondie, for saving us.
Yeah, thanks, Heather.
Till next week, I'm out.
All right, I'm Chris.
I'm Ken. She's still Heather. See ya.
Thank God.
All right.